There was a thief, a prominent member of a thieves' guild in a distant land. In a foolish attempt to prove himself worthy of succeeding his father as master thief, he tried to steal the royal crown and was caught. But instead of execution, the king made him a deal. The sovereign had already lost many soldiers in a desperate attempt to retrieve his daughter's soul, said to be trapped in the forest of Lamath. The bargain was simple. Steal back the soul and earn your freedom. Fail and die in the forest like all the others. Yet the king added one more promise to the bargain. A cruel temptation. If he succeeded, the monarch himself would hand him the royal crown, and he would be known henceforth as the King of Thieves. On his journey, he met elves. The shadow of the forest was their enemy as well, for its roots had long reached even the borders of their realm. Knowing his grim task, they gifted him both knowledge and Miriam, a powerful, silvery Exosic brew. They offered him their blessing and wished him safe passage through the dark road ahead. Leaving the elves behind, the forest began to hush, as though their voices had been keeping the silence at bay. The deeper he walked, the heavier the air became, until even the wind seemed to hold its breath. When he reached the borders of Lamath, not a single bird dared to sing. He crossed the ford of a dark, glassy river, the final threshold into the cursed wood. Inside the cursed forest, no lamp or torch could stay lit. The only light that shone came from the moon glows, pale flowers that glimmered like stars. The wisdom of the elves helped him use their light to keep the shades of the woods at bay. And whenever the forest clouded his mind, he drank Miriam to stay sane. At the heart of Lamath, the thief found not the princess, but a dark Irminsul. A tree whose roots bridged this world and the underworld. He was captured and offered as a sacrifice. His blood was taken, and his body thrown into the lake beneath the cursed tree. As he slowly lost consciousness, sinking into the cold water, the moon's reflection shimmered above on the lake's surface, and within that pale light, he saw the soul of the maiden watching him. A single moon glow slipped from his pocket, and the moonlight served as a bridge for her soul to escape the lake and hide within the blossom. Meanwhile, his blood, poured upon the tree's roots, sealed the ritual. Yet, because of the Miriam, it burned the cursed tree, scorching the Irminsul and the entire forest. As the Irminsul burned and fell, it cursed him. The shadow of that place would haunt him forever, forcing the thief to keep drinking Miriam. The forest was cleansed of the curse, yet he remained bound to it. From then on, the elves no longer called the forest Lamath. They called him that name. And over time, the brew distorted his features, tinting his skin with a faint blue hue. He should have died in that forest, but somehow the maiden's soul strengthened him. When he awoke, he fled with the rose and the princess's soul within it. The news of the king's task spread swiftly through the kingdom, and when word reached the master thief, his own father, jealousy took root. He could not allow his son to complete a deed that might eclipse his name, so he sent his brethren to ensure the task would never be fulfilled. The assassins found Lamath on his way back from the forest, his steps heavy with the scent of ash and moonlight. Yet none who came against him returned, for the forest still lingered in his wake, and all his brothers fell beneath the same veil of darkness that haunted him. When he returned to the court, the sovereign's face darkened with wrath. He could not risk the disgrace of having a thief as his hero. He refused to give credit to the tale, accusing him of deceit and mockery. The crown was not for sale, and pride proved a curse far greater than Lamath's own. In secret, the king took the blossom and placed it upon his daughter's lifeless body, hoping that her form might call the wandering soul home. But the soul refused to return. It lingered within the fading petals until the moonglow withered. Not wanting his end to come easily, the king exiled the thief to the frontier, a land haunted by dragons. There he was enslaved, then forcibly conscripted as a soldier. And that's where the dragon found him. and made him arisen.
Where an arisen walks, a pawn must follow.
Unbeknownst to him, part of the maiden's soul still filled the hollow space left in his own by the Irminsul. When the dragon's fire baptized him, it caused a rift between their souls. And the princess was reborn as his pawn. The mark of that schism remained. She lost her memory, and he lost his voice. At first, he rejected her as a burden, but when he beheld her servitude, he remembered the weight of his own under his father's hand.
She was now bound to him.
As a pawn, she existed to serve him, her freedom constrained by the Arisen's command. Over time, the Arisen grew fond of her, and swore silently that he would not be to her what his father had been to him. He began to wish that her broken soul might be restored, that she would regain her will, cease to be a mere tool, and become human once more.